Thank you, Landon. Good morning, everyone. I just announced, but a couple of you all were still logging in. We had a presentation today that we were going to have for you all with the County of Santa Barbara. Emily Allen, who oversees our coordinated entry system, she was going to present some more background information on the CES system, but specifically what that would mean for the Super or Buena Tierra project that's developing in Goleta, and how we prioritize people throughout the region. Unfortunately, she's not able to be here today and present, so that'll be slated for most likely our next community concerns meeting next month. So we will most likely have a shorter meeting today because we don't have that presentation, but we still want to give you all community members the opportunity to check in with city staff. We have a couple of our outreach teams here, Good Samaritan and CityNet as well. So if there are areas of concern that you're seeing throughout Goleta region or individuals that you want to bring to our attention, we will, the time is now for you all to do that. We do have one update. You should have seen my email. If not, we are having our first Goleta walkabout this coming Wednesday from 9 to 10, and it's dedicated to the region of Old Town. We will be meeting at the, what's the bank? 1 second.
Community West.
Community West.
Thank you, Community West Bank. There should be public parking within that parking lot right next door, so we'll just meet in front of the bank. I know right now it's about 50 to 60% chance of rain. So I'm thinking that we're just gonna have to kind of play it by ear, look at tomorrow to see what the weather is gonna be like. And then, I'll check in with city staff offline to see if it's appropriate to cancel it or not. And then regardless of us still moving forward with the walk, or if we have to postpone it, I will email the group so you all are aware if we're still going to be meeting or if it's canceled. So again, as of right now, it's scheduled for this coming Wednesday, March 1st from 9 to 10, meeting at the West Community Bank on Hollister at 9 o'clock. And so the purpose of the walk is for city staff. We'll have outreach providers there as well, and of course SB Act staff. Typically our walks are meant for us to be able to check in with the business communities. So we do go business by business and speak to staff, ask them if they're dealing with some impacts on a day-to-day basis or what they're seeing in the region. We also we'll have the Goleta homelessness directory printed out as well. So we'll be handing those out so people have those resources, and we'll have a flyer for our wrap meeting. So businesses and other community members are aware that we host them on a regular basis and are able to attend if they're interested. And then outreach is present to be able to engage in individuals that we may come across along the way. So if we are seeing any persons that are unsheltered, outreach will be able to connect with them and just kind of start that engagement process on the walk. And it's just a good opportunity for community members to engage with city staff that we might not be able to on a regular basis, get to know our outreach workers, hear about the work that they're doing, and just, it's always great to see everyone in person instead of a Zoom call.
Yeah,
So
the other part of it, Catherine, I was just going to say, one of the requests we've got in the past is that not too many of our business owners in Old Town necessarily tune in to the city's website or announcements. And so this is a much more, in-person, hello, here you go, put a name to a face, and then obviously encourage people because there are eyes and ears out there on a regular basis. They probably see the same peoples. And so it's another way to try to connect with our business and also, residents down there, whoever we come across. So hopefully the weather will cooperate. If not, then it'll do what it does. And we'll we'll either have to cancel. If it doesn't look too bad, maybe we'll brave it. But we'll check in tomorrow and see how that looks.
Mhm. And so again, that is an open invitation to anyone. You can also feel free to spread the word amongst other individuals that you might think is interested in being a part of that, or just want to meet some city staff and outreach workers. So yes, so Wednesday, 9 o'clock, Old Town. And if you have any other questions or just want that information, I can email you as well.
And then I don't know, Catherine, if we're making other just real announcement while everybody's on, is we do have a homelessness issues standing committee. This is a committee formed by the mayor Parodi and the council member Kasdan that look at homeless issues for the city. We bring ideas to them, kind of bounce them back and forth, look for recommendations to take to city council. We have a pretty in-depth presentation of materials, as well as some review of grant applications for homelessness service providers. So that's another way. If you're interested in tuning in, it'll be at 4 o'clock Wednesday, March 1st. It's in a hybrid format, so you can either come in person or remote in as you normally would. So we encourage anyone else who's on the call, if they're interested, to tune in for that. And thank you for letting me share that with the group.
And any questions on that, you can reach out directly to me at cflax, C and my last name, at cityofgoleta.org.
Maybe you can put your email in the chat,
I will
Chuck.
do that.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, I understand the St. Vincent's people want to address us at that meeting.
I haven't heard that, Councilman.
Yeah, no, I was contacted and they were asking about the format.
So there'll be an opportunity when we do the grant discussion for them
Yeah,
to
it's
be available.
probably-
Yeah.
And then we also, there you go, Landon. We also have one more just general announcement that Landon is going to present on.
So this is more South County wide, but the Santa Barbara Public Library is hosting their annual Book to Action series, where they do sort of a series of book clubs focused on a certain topic that's relevant to the community. And this year it's focused on housing and homelessness. So they're going to be doing a series of book clubs on the book Golden Gates, which is about the housing crisis in California, as well as several film screenings and other book readings about this issue. So just if you're interested in learning more about these issues and ways to take action in our region, I'll put the link in the chat window for that.
Is that the city library or the Goleta library?
It's the Santa Barbara City Library.
Santa City.
Yeah.
Right. So those were the general announcements that we had to share. And so now, you can have this opportunity to, if there's areas that you're seeing throughout Goleta that you would like to bring to our attention or just follow up with, individuals of concern. Again, just as a recap, we do have CityNet and Good Samaritan that support throughout throughout the city of Goleta and the unincorporated regions of Goleta as well. So we have CityNet that focus on the 101 corridors, so along the highway and the railroad tracks, as well as throughout the city of Goleta. And then Good Samaritan is able to supplement some of that work through the unincorporated regions of Goleta.
Oh, and then I'm sorry, just one more very quickly. Some of you may have noticed that along the corridor, especially between, I want to say mostly Patterson all the way through almost to Fairview, there's been quite a bit of pruning and clearing done by Caltrans and cleanups of just a lot of debris and dead brush, things like that. Caltrans has taken a much more assertive role in doing this. They were doing it in downtown Santa Barbara corridor, I want to say probably towards the end of last year. And so part of that's one, I think, to reduce fuel hazards and cleanup in general, but also two, I think it's also creating a sense of more and sustained visibility. So that may be also playing a role in individuals that might be homeless, finding other places to go, maybe seeking shelter at the different shelters that there are, and creating more likelihood that they'll take services. If not, maybe even just considering, moving to a different place or trying to see what else is out there. So you may see that'll probably continue going forward, probably all the way through to Glen Annie, is my guess based on the number of trucks I see there in the morning. So that's just another thing that you may have been noticing. The city has asked Caltrans in the past to do what they can to help try to alleviate that strain on those areas, because they create pretty good hiding places. And so I think that's starting to bear fruit a little bit. So I'll stop talking and turn it over to Catherine. I think Miss Osgood has her hand up.
Yeah. Hey, Mary, you can go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. You know what, I just wanted to say right off the bat that I had mentioned at the end of last month that we would really love to have someone with computers come to our luncheon on Tuesdays in Isla Vista. And I just want to thank Susanna and Kirsten, because they've been great about doing that. So with Good Sam, and we're so blessed because so many of our people that come to our luncheons have gotten into housing there at Hedges House of Hope. So praise God, things are moving along, and thank you, Susanna and Kirsten.
That's great news. And I'm so happy that, well, that's kind of the hope of these meetings, is we want the community members to be able to share, give that feedback of what the need is, and then be able to work with appropriate parties. So I'm so glad that you were able to, share that need with us, and big shout out to Good Samaritan for stepping up and supporting. I think too, if there's, Mark, I see your hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, the issue, I hate to be the squeaky wheel, but the issue I keep coming back to is Calle Real under the San Jose Creek area. I just want to make it clear, it's not a NIMBY issue for me because I live close to there. It's just such an area that's just fraught with danger for the people who are there, and then the debris that goes into the creek. So I appreciate all the work that Caltrans did to clean up along the edge of the road there. But unfortunately, the people that would hang out there would distribute their trash and debris, etc. And then when somebody finally came in and cleaned it up, it would get cleaned up. The problem is that all the debris in San Jose Creek goes directly into the creek, directly out to the ocean. And it's pretty much out of control. And I appreciate all the work that's being done for homeless. I absolutely support it 100%, but I would be hard pressed, and you folks are more involved in this than I am, but hard pressed to think of another example of a situation of that gravity, because just the way they built it, it has that underpass, it has that ledge, they've got tents, it's just an invitation to hang out there, and it creates a whole welter of other problems. So I'm just trying to keep my eye on that, and I appreciate the work that Caltrans did, but I can't help but think, but it might be forcing some of those folks down under the bridge where the problem is even more intense. Thank you for your time.
Sure, and I'll just respond briefly. I was there on Friday and I went and checked under the bridge. I didn't see anyone there. There was maybe one kind of set of what looked like an old bag, but compared to how it was maybe a month ago, it looked very different in terms of it. Maybe I just picked the wrong day to go, but there was no one down there, and it didn't look like there had been anyone there for for at least a few days. And that's kind of the issue, right? We have a transitory population that may or may not hang out there for a few days or a few weeks and then move on. But as of Friday, I didn't see anything. So we'll continue to go back and check.
Yeah, I checked it a couple times and it was totally cleared out, obviously around January 9th because of the intensity of the flooding along there. But as I went down there week by week, it was kind of reestablishing itself. I'm sure that they got the rain report and probably vacated because of what was happening there. But I just feel like it.
We hear you, Mr. Preston. We get a fair number of calls about that because of that ledge and its
Yeah, okay.
visibility. You can actually see, you can actually peek through when you drive northbound on the 101. If you kind of glance over, you can sometimes kind of see what looks like to be tents or some materials, and it kind of varies by day, week by week. But yeah, that's definitely an area of concern, and that's one place where outreach has gone multiple times, and we've not been met with very much success there in terms of engaging with services and taking services up. But we'll continue to do that.
Good morning. This is Paul with Public Works. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, Jaime. If I could chime in, I did make it out there on Friday as well because we had a tree go down from the Caltrans side. So I was working with the state to clear the tree there in Calreal. I did notice a couple of unhoused community members under the Caltrans bridge, 2 of them there, but it looked like they were moving on. They were just there for a short term when it was raining. So, but I did notice 2 of them there at that time. So, and we are working to remove or take care of the graffiti in that area, although it's difficult because you don't want to power wash. We're over the creek. So there's a lot of things we can do and can't do in that area since it's a creek area, but we are trying to fix it down there.
And then Kemba, I see you have your hand up.
Hi, good morning. This is my first meeting, and I just wanted to basically, I'm coming wearing 2 hats, right? I am a resident of the Goleta area, but I also work for Communify, which is our main office is in Goleta. I'm coming with the question of how do we, as a CBO, collaborate with the city and the outreach agencies that you have to offer support. Don't know if there's been meetings about that or discussions, but we also operate the 211 program. So if there's opportunities to be able to be a resource in some way, shape, or form, I would love to basically, extend my hand as the community services director. And like I said, also a resident. How do we collaborate? We would love to know more about services that are being offered that, because the homeless population is not our primary population, but there is services that we could offer once they are housed and or being a reference point for the, other agencies that are actually, engaging and offering services. So I just wanted to basically offer that opportunity as like, we're open, ready to support in any way, shape, or form. But I wasn't aware if there had already been collaborative meetings, discussions, et cetera. So again, I'm just wearing 2 hats. I live in Goleta, but I also work here. And, our agency is here to support any way we can. We'll just love a conversation with the city and the team to see how we can support.
What is your organization?
My organization is Communify. It was formerly known as Community Action Commission of Santa Barbara. But yeah, we are Communify. We are located on 5638 Hollister. That's one of our regional offices, but we are county-wide. So I have been tasked with the responsibility of connecting with local municipalities around the issue of homelessness as well as homeless prevention. So that's part of my task as the community services director. So again, I'm looking to connect with agencies, local entities to see what we can do to support. I will put my email address in the chat as well.
Thank you, Kemba. And this is a beautiful example of people tuning in and connecting. I probably recommend you connect with Chuck Flax. He put in his email already from the city. He's kind of our main coordinator he is our main coordinator. He's our only coordinator. He's our homelessness services coordinator. And so he's been working directly with law enforcement, with Deputy Roush, with CityNet, Good Sam, and all the providers that we've talked about so far, and others at the county as well. So I think it'd be wonderful for both of you to connect, and thank you for attending and offering a hand to help out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Kemba. I'm glad you joined us this morning, and definitely, check on Chuck. And I think just for some of the work that SBAC does on a system-wide level, there's opportunity there. We are hosting the working groups that we have in partnership with the county and have discussed specifically prevention services and the need for, is 211 that avenue to give people, or to make sure that people have all the resources that they need. And so that was something that we discussed in our first official merger of our meetings this past, I think it was 2 weeks ago now. So I would love to also connect with you offline, and we can talk through, there's other avenues as well.
Awesome. My email is in the chat. So
And then if there are no specific questions right now, might be good, maybe we can hear from our outreach providers, just some of their recent efforts doing outreach in the last week, just so, some community members can have a general idea of the areas that you're supporting and some of the work that you're doing. We can probably go ahead and get started with CityNet.
Hi, my name's Ellen Antonioli. I work in Goleta, mostly city of Goleta. Last week was pretty much dominated by just prep for the storm, making sure people had heat packs and jackets and were offered shelter and all that stuff. So we passed out a lot of donations. So last week was mostly dominated by that. I would say on an average week, we go to San Jose Creek, the tracks along Patterson, Fairview, Jubilee Church area, just kind of respond to calls. But most recently it's been San Jose, as well as the 217 Ward area. And we were also in the Glen Annie quadrant quite a bit last week.
Thank you, Ellen, for that update. And then we also have Good Samaritan.
I just want to add one thing to the CityNet report, which is I believe we had a mother and son move out of the hotel into permanent housing. Is someone from CityNet want to comment on that?
We did, yeah. They moved in the Friday before last.
That's a big victory.
Did you say they moved in they moved in or they moved out?
They moved out of the hotels into permanent supportive permanent housing.
Right, from the Friday before. So how long were they in the hotel?
Months.
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And Chuck, can you remind me what's the capacity for hotel rooms between the city and the city and CityNet?
Well, that's really up to CityNet. CityNet has a budget that they can use for a variety of different purposes, including hotel rooms. I believe now there are 6 people in hotel rooms currently. They use that budget for a lot of things, including moving costs, first and last month's rent. So it's a flexible budget that the city gave them to expedite moving people out of encampments.
And then Good Samaritan is the other outreach provider, and we have a couple of folks. If Anais, you wanted to go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me? Good morning. Happy Monday. For our update, we also have been getting ready for the storm. We've been going out there, giving out information, giving out ponchos, any kind of donations to let everyone know that we will have these warming shelters available. We've been having our warming shelters in Santa Maria, Lompoc, and Santa Barbara. We have been able to really reach a part of the population that I don't think I have ever seen before. So I'm really excited about that. just a lot of these clients that really need our support right now. We were able to give three offers to Hedges House of Hope this past week. So that was wonderful. And then I'm also working with the Parks and Rec and IV to monitor the parks there. So I've been there several times. And I know that we go to Mary's lovely lunches. We try to make it every week. Hi, Mary. So yeah, we're just trying to keep as busy as possible, and also just getting ready for these storms that have hit our community pretty badly.
What is your organization?
Good Samaritan.
Good Sam?
Yeah, Good Samaritan.
Oh, Good Samaritan. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for that update. So I don't know if that sparked any questions for the team there, or any follow-up for some of the work that they're doing.
You're muted.
Okay.
You're muted, Anais.
Oh no, I was just reading to myself in the comments. Sorry. I'm a mouth reader.
Okay.
Mayor Prody.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being on this call. It's good to see more and more people starting to participate and learn about these calls. I think they're really very beneficial to the city to really hear from folks out there. I am curious to, one of my concerns has always been that we do not have a warming center. So I'm just curious if anybody can give me any numbers on how many folks are actually taking advantage of, from Goleta, other warming centers, say in Santa Barbara. Do we have any idea how many that might be, and how are they getting transported on their own, or what's the status of that?
So I don't have any official documentation on that, Mayor Prody. I apologize. I can get it. I'll work on that. The Good Samaritan staff who oversee the Freedom Warming Centers aren't typically on the Goleta call, but I can reach out to them and see, or unless Kirsten knows or Lucille knows whether.
I think Fernando has his hand up, and he does work at
Cool.
some of the warming centers. And then I think just countywide, I know it's not specific to Goleta, what you were asking, Mayor Prody, but on Thursday night, there was 100 individuals countywide that were accessing the warming centers. Fernando, you can go ahead.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Fernando Silva. I work with Good Samaritan Outreach, and I am kind of the active site manager for the Freedom Warming Center. I didn't really hear the question that was asked.
Are you keeping track, Fernando, are you keeping track of Goleta residents that go to the South County shelter?
No, not specifically.
Okay.
I can tell you that Catherine was correct. At one point, we did have about 100 people countywide. Through these last couple of days, since Thursday night, which was the first night of the activation, we've been holding about 46. Last night we had 47 individuals staying there. So it's been, just from my knowledge, I know there was pretty much a whole little encampment area that made it down. They tend to stay out in the Goleta area, but as far as tracking those direct Goleta residents, we're not tracking that.
Where was that center?
We just moved last night. It was at the Unitarian Society, which is 1535 Santa Barbara Street. And then we're currently at the Trinity Church, which is 1500 State Street.
Trinity Episcopal.
And so, Mayor Prody, to address your concern directly, I'm currently working with Good Samaritan on a Goleta location. So this is something that's high priority for us, although it's not going to affect this season. But we are going to work on trying to get one for next year in Goleta. That's the good news. The harder news is that we haven't this year set up a transportation system to get people from one location to another. The last time we did that officially was at least 6 or 7 years ago. It was kind of, I think, during one of the major storm periods. You were actually, I think, one of the people that instigated that, and we were transporting people to Earl Warren Showgrounds, and we involved Easy Lift, and we haven't done that this year. And to some extent, that's because we haven't heard from Goleta encampment residents that they want to leave Goleta. In fact, they're saying the opposite. It's been really tough to get them to want to go somewhere, even with the impending flooding and really serious storms. They rather brave it out in their encampments. I think if we had a local place, it would be an easier sell, and so that's something that we're going to obviously be working on.
Well, I will comment that last Friday, we had a meeting. It was mayors and city managers. And my question, and Assemblymember Greg Hart was a guest speaker. And I asked the question about funding coming down from the state in regard to, warming centers, navigation centers. And apparently the budget is looking pretty good for, there's no guarantee, but there's the governor's putting in a lot of money for the homeless population. So, keep our eyes on what might be available. I did comment on the fact that it'd be nice if we had local funds going to local cities and not going necessarily always going through the county. So I did put in a plug for that, and we'll just keep our eyes open just for informational purposes only. Thank you, Chuck.
Do the warming centers still put people out very early in the morning at the coldest time of the year of the day?
Yeah.
And in the rain and etc. I hear lots of homeless people say they don't want to go because they're so vulnerable at that time of day that when they can't be in this.
Yeah, I mean, that you raise an important gap in our services, Judy. The one of the things that would really benefit the homeless community would be a place for them to go during the day.
Yes.
And so that's another piece of our work plan here in Goleta, is to have a day center where people can go, where they can do laundry, where they could, get access to services, where they could shower. These are things that we're also working on for the Goleta, part of my work plan.
So downtown, is there a place, if they do go to the warming center, where can they go if they're downtown?
There isn't an official place. I mean, PATH has 26 inclement weather beds. And what PATH will do is if you go there, you can stay all day. And as long as the inclement weather beds are available, people can stay. And they can hang out, they can shower, they can do what they need, they get food. So the PATH program for inclement weather is a 24-hour opportunity. But again, that's, a lot of people from Goleta don't want to go all the way down to PATH.
Yeah, thank you.
Councilmember Caston.
Yeah, I guess I'm not familiar with the warming centers, and I gather from what I've heard is that these are temporary arrangements and move to different locations. And so I'm not entirely clear then what is our obstacle to setting up one of these at a volunteer church or synagogue or whatever. What's holding us back?
A location and a willing congregation and a willing church or temple, synagogue. That's really the issue. Is the partnership is really between Good Samaritan, the county who's responsible for it, and then a location is my understanding. And we just haven't had, I know Chuck has been hitting the pavement and trying to get that going, but we haven't had a willing partner. And so without that, and I was having a conversation about this last week, typically what churches have is kind of an auxiliary room or a multi-purpose room that has bathrooms, that has maybe even a kitchen, and it's kind of separate and distinct from the actual religious temple itself or place of worship and the rectory. So it's easier to kind of be almost modular in the sense that it's not affecting the regular operations and it's only for a couple of days typically. And that's kind of the missing piece, because it's having the bathrooms, the space to put things and not have it be taking over the church itself.
Yeah, no, that I understand. If you're bringing people inside, they would have to have certain physical arrangements. I was wondering though, if there was something like, for instance, right next to Lake Los Carneros at the Historical Society, they set up big tents to do their public events and so forth. It would seem that some sort of setting up, we should be able, if we're not asking to use their rooms, but instead just use physical space and set up outdoor facilities, big tents, and have some sort of heater or something, a generator in there. I mean, it seems like there might be a way of doing something that's better than being outside. And even if it's not indoors, if there are places that would let us use, just like I forgot which is it that's near Historical Society Stowhouse, but you know, for us to set up something like that, it seems like it's an easier ask for us to do and to be able to provide people some sort of shelter.
Are you talking about Anthem Chapel?
Is it Anthem that's there?
Yeah, the
I
the
think
one that
so.
has the big tent outside.
Yeah, something. I mean, there are some arrangements that if I would think would be easier for us to get concurrence or support from the religious community and others, and we can go, you know, pretty good in terms of a big enough and nice enough tent sort of arrangement for a short period of time. And that add to generator and whatnot.
I can just, Stuart, tell you that it's Anthem Chapel rents that space behind that Lutheran church. So it would have to be coordinated through the Lutheran church. Unfortunately, with the rains, 2 of our 3 tents were destroyed. So now there's only one big tent there, but you know, Anthem is one of the cooperating churches with us, and they are very helpful towards the homeless. So, but it would have to go through the Lutheran church because they own the property. Anthem just leases it.
Well, I mean, I think that would be a great location, and if there were a
Yeah.
willingness, that'd be wonderful. But once we sort of think about it in terms of tenting, if you will, rather than a church or other facility finding an indoor place, a room, a separate room, it opens up the opportunities to other places. And if the issue is buying a tent, you know, we've been talking about warming centers for a really long time.
Yeah.
That buying the tent should not be the issue, or the generators or whatever else we need.
That's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great idea, Stuart.
Thank you.
I definitely think that I'm Kirsten with Good Sam, that by next season we'll be able to have something in place in Goleta. I think there's a lot of discussions around the churches and who might be able to facilitate something. I mean, for us to, you know, creating a space that has some privacy for our clients when they do, you know, access the warming shelters is important as well. We activate from November until March, so we're getting ready to actually end the warming shelter season in a few weeks. I know the weather would tell us otherwise, but we're just a few weeks away from ending it. And I know that these discussions are going to continue so that we can have something in place in Goleta by the time we activate next November. So we're excited about that. For us too, staffing is always tough. We have a really tough time staffing up, you know, all of the warming shelters throughout the season. It's tough to find folks that are willing to work on 48-hour notice and just temporary, and they don't know how many hours they're going to get throughout the season. So that's something that we have to start working on well ahead of time. So we'll definitely start preparing for a Goleta site for next season, which is very exciting.
And I think just to add to that as well, Kirsten, you kind of mentioned or alluded to it just last year with the pandemic, that really changed how the warming centers were operating. People had to test to enter. There was different restrictions or just limitations. And so that caused a decrease in attendance. And so I think this year, because there have been discussions about the need in Goleta, but I think really just trying to use this season as the season to bolster up the warming centers so they're operating at their maximum capacity with their staffing, re-engaging the unsheltered population, letting them know that, you know, this is an option and it's not going to be operating the way it was last year, because that's what deterred people. And then I think, you know, the Good Sam team could speak to how many individuals are seeing now that increased attendance just throughout the county, which is, I think that's important, right? Is we do want people to come indoors and to utilize the space, but recognizing that sometimes there's just other barriers that prevent them from wanting to use it.
Definitely. I think this season has shown us record numbers for the warming shelters. I mean, which, you know, the main reason is obviously these long periods of inclement weather that we've been having. But it's really giving us an opportunity to access folks that have been service resistant for so long, which is really amazing. You know, pretty much throughout the entire county, our warming shelters have hit capacity or close to capacity every single night, which I ran the warming shelters years ago prior to us taking it over, and we never ever saw the numbers that we've seen this year. And for us, it's just such an exciting opportunity to engage people that normally are so incredibly service resistant. So, you know, we're getting them in the HMIS system. We're being able to do their VI SPDATs. We're able to open them in outreach teams so they can continue to, you know, have services and, you know, start developing a rapport with folks that they can trust every time they show up at the warming shelter and know that we're okay and that we do want to help them. So it's been an amazing opportunity. And I think this year is really setting the tone for the following year and what those needs are going to look like to increase our facilities.
Wanting to see if Lucille is going to jump on and say something, but there she is.
Sure. So I think that I appreciate the conversation just about having kind of the larger tent, and we've seen that in some communities, and they're often referred to as like a sanctioned encampment, so a giant tent with tents inside, and it tends to take resources and focus away from the non-congregate shelter, which folks, you know, appreciate the privacy, like Kirsten mentioned. And it takes the focus and resources away from that interim housing and permanent housing, which we want more resources to go there. So the kind of tents and the warming centers are really for that immediate need, like the extreme weather, like we've experienced over the past few weeks, especially. But I think one of the great things that we've seen about the warming centers has come with the expansion of outreach teams. So we're seeing more teams like City Net and Good Sam building rapport with people, and they're coming inside when it's available. So the more that we develop additional interim housing units or rooms or beds and permanent housing, the more folks we can bring inside.
Just to point out, when I raised this, it wasn't to say we should do this instead of other housing. That was not the point. It was so.
Right. And Goleta has just been a wonderful partner in all these creative solutions and the scattered site, you know, hotels moving folks in from outside and in permanent housing. So Goleta is really setting the example for a lot of our other cities.
I thought you were going to say something.
No, I was just going to say, I think everything is just additive, right? It's not or, it's and what else could we be doing? Because I think it's hard to tell the causal points of this, but you know, we could say that because there are more outreach workers out and about, there's more opportunity that there may be a desire to take up shelter versus had there not been any, right? And so I think all these are coming together. There's more emphasis, there's more focus. The weather has been cold enough to really change people's minds that maybe normally wouldn't have wanted to come in. So, I mean, it's kind of all of the above. But I did want to make sure, Catherine, that we have a lot of folks on the call, and this is the community's call. So anybody else who wants to share anything, bring anything up. I know we still have about maybe 15 minutes, a little bit less, but this will really want to hear from you. We all talk to each other, the service providers, so that's it's nice to be able to do that during the call, but we really want to make sure we get attention on the community members that have given us their time. Or not. Let's
Or
see.
not, yeah.
I don't know if there's anything more pressing to talk about. I know people's time is valuable, so there's nothing else to follow up on. You do have the opportunity to connect with Chuck. He put his email in the chat. We really encourage folks to really go to Chuck because he has his finger on the pulse here in Goleta and knows who to call. And so if he doesn't know, he'll figure it out. He's very resourceful, and he's done a wonderful job since joining the team back in early December. So I don't know if there's anything else people wanted to share, but if not, I think we can maybe end a little early if that's okay with folks.
I'm concerned about the medical help that is available to people who are homeless. I understand that illegal aliens get quite a lot of medical help, but there are certain people that just seem to fall through the cracks and not be able to get the medical help, even though they have serious issues. I don't know if there's someone that can speak to that.
Well, I'm surprised to hear this, Judy, because frankly, my experience in Santa Barbara County has been incredibly positive. We have virtually everybody who wants Medi-Cal gets Medi-Cal. We have mobile public health teams that go out, public health nurses. We have Doctors Without Walls that are going out to encampments. So I'm not aware of what you're talking about. And in fact, if someone does have a medical issue, they should contact me immediately. I mean, we have actually a very robust system locally to support people.
Well, one person I'm thinking of believes that he has cancer and has it for a while, and goes to the ER and waits hours, and then is told to speak to his doctor, and then gets an appointment 9 months later, and the doctor has his blood pressure taken and his temperature taken, and then the doctor doesn't have time to hear his issues, and nothing happens. But I can talk to you about this privately.
That'd be great.
As Chuck mentioned, there are definitely resources available. I think it's just a matter of getting them connected to those resources, which we know sometimes isn't always the easiest, but you can marry.
Yeah, Judy, I'm happy to say that we're having the exact opposite experience. We've been helping a man who just lives in the top of his camper, and he has cancer, and a few of us have been getting him to all his appointments, and he's been treated so well and kindly.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful that you're taking him to the appointments, but the thing that I get from the person I'm referring to is, oh yeah, he's an illegal alien. The government gives them all kinds of things, but they won't take him into urgent care, and he can't get the help from, has given up on going to ER.
Well, I hope Chuck can help you get help for that guy, because I know that once they get help, the doctors and everyone, they are just so kind and doing a wonderful job. So
Thank you.
Okay. And then I'm just looking at my screen. I don't, Anna, it looked like you unmuted yourself if you wanted to say something.
Yes, regarding to what Judy's, was talking about. I'm the director for the Family Resource Center here, in Goleta. And we do a lot of many different services, that we help our clients or individuals. We are always looking for many services for everybody. It doesn't matter, their ethnicity or, they're documented or not documented. We're here to help, and we do a lot of different services. We help apply for Medi-Cal, CalFresh and CalWorks, apply for, housing, putting themselves in the waiting list because there's not that many places where people can apply for housing. We do resumes, we help people find jobs, we do parenting classes, immigration webinars. We do a lot. So I will send out my referral to you and Chuck, and then if anybody in the future ever wants to reach out and refer a family, please do so. I could also do a presentation about what we do and what we offer, because I think it would be great for this team.
I don't understand what organization are you representing?
My name is Anna Maya, and I represent Isla Vista Youth Projects, the Family Resource Center. It's I work as a family.
I still didn't hear that. Oh, what center?
It's a family resource center.
Family Resource Center.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
you.
Part
Family
of Isla
Resource
Vista Youth Project.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay, but this is just young people.
No, the name of the organization is actually changing to LEAP. It is a multi-purpose agency. It's a family resource center, so they support people of all ages, and they're located in downtown Goleta.
Okay. Thank you. Can you put that in the chat? Your contact.
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. And I would definitely love to talk to you about presenting during one of our meetings.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we're 5 minutes away. So we could probably go ahead and end here. I do want to also just give a happy birthday wishes to Mayor Perotti. You didn't think we were going to not say anything.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. Sweet. Very sweet.
Well, happy birthday. And I know it's raining, but I hope you have a fabulous day.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today. And just a reminder, Wednesday, the March 1st from 9 to 10. Tentatively still have our walk, but you will hear from me. We'll either cancel it or move forward with it. So thank you all. See you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you all.